Alright, I want to take a video before I applied all the seam sealer and undercoating and everything to kind of see what I did here. Here are the plates from CMP. Really good coverage all the way up. They came with these two little spacers as well, spacer plates that get welded there and here, I guess in here. In order for when everything's bolted back together, bolted all flush. Here's where your subframe typically fails on an E46. In essence, there's a bracket in here that's just kind of plug welded to the rear axle carrier panel is what they call it. It's three little plug welds that are just so easy to fail, and those get pulled apart from the torque applied to the diff. And what'll happen is that it'll get pulled apart from the top, and then it'll work itself out. I had complete subframe failure, so basically my subfloor just tore out. The bracket was tore out. It wasn't being held on by anything. I basically had a 3-point subframe. Obviously with this plate now welded in place, that gives me great reinforcement from the bottom side. But you'll see these little blue dots here. That's the underside of the reinforcement beam that's on the top that I'll show you in a minute. There's the other plate for this side here. Typically the torque gets kind of applied like this with the diff in place. So basically this bracket gets force pulled down, this bracket gets pushed up. So in essence, this is the one that will almost always fail, just because of the torque and the diff. Alrighty, here's the top reinforcement beam from CMP. Has a nice little plate that I'll rivet in once I got everything painted. Anyway, so they've got a reinforcement plate that mounts to this structural beam right here on both sides, and then this tube is kind of where the bolt, the extended bolt, will come in. There's a reinforcement plate on the bottom, there's ribbing right here, and this beam itself is a really heavy gauge steel. This is a much better solution than BMW kind of ever envisioned from OEM. I would feel way better with something like this than with BMW OEM, knowing that those brackets that the subframe are mounted to are literally just kind of plug welded, not very well in there. So anyway, there is the complete CMP solution. Side note, let's see a couple other things. The gentleman at CMP, he's an engineer, super friendly guy that was very good about answering the questions I had. The only surprises I had in doing this were, I guess, smoking from the welding. There's a lot of combustible material, whether it's undercoating or insulation or whatever it may be, so you just got to be careful as you're welding. This little plate right here, this sheet metal, if you do it right, it actually, CMP's got a directions to where it'll kind of flush, fill in everywhere there. I actually already had cut a access panel over here to where I'd cut a square out to kind of take a look at how bad the reinforcement had failed. So my little piece of sheet metal was already cut, so I didn't bother with the highly cosmetic solution that they suggest. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that this is going to work extremely well. I won't ever have to worry about subframe failure again.